Why you feel guilty when you say no. Saying no seems simple on the surface, but emotionally it carries a weight that many people struggle to hold. Guilt often appears not because the request was unreasonable, but because somewhere inside, saying no feels like a threat to something much older, a need to be accepted, loved, or valued. For many, guilt is not about the present moment. It is a trace of childhood experiences where approval came through compliance. When love felt conditional, no became associated with danger, the danger of being rejected, misunderstood, or abandoned. The body remembers this, even when the adult mind knows it shouldn't be so hard. The guilt you feel is not a sign that you are doing something wrong. It is a sign that you learned a long time ago that your needs had to come after everyone else's. When you say no today, the child inside you fears losing connection. The adult knows it's necessary, but the emotional memory still reacts. This guilt is also connected to an internal voice, often strict, demanding, or moralizing, that insists you must be good. And for many, being good was confused with being available, agreeable, or self-sacrificing. Saying no challenges this internal role, and the guilt appears as a way to pull you back to what feels familiar. But guilt is not a signal to stop. It is a signal that you are stepping out of an old pattern. Each time you say no and stay calm that discomfort, something in you starts to change. You begin to learn that relationships don't collapse when you set boundaries. You discover that your worth does not depend on saying yes. And slowly, guilt loses its power, because your inner world begins to trust that protecting yourself is not the same as hurting others. The ability to say no is a practice, not of rejection, but of self-respect. It is a quiet, courageous act of choosing yourself without needing permission. When no feels like a risk to the relationship. The reason guilt appears so quickly after you say no is that deep inside, the mind still believes that disagreement threatens connection. Even if you rationally know you are allowed to have limits, emotionally it can feel like stepping into dangerous territory. For many people, childhood taught that harmony was more important than authenticity. If the home environment was tense, unpredictable, or emotionally fragile, you may have learned that keeping others comfortable was a form of safety. In adulthood, this becomes a silent rule inside you. You must not upset anyone. You must not disappoint. You must hold everything together. And so saying no doesn't feel like you're protecting your time or energy. It feels like you're breaking an old pact of survival. Guilt, in this sense, is not moral. It is protective. It appears to prevent conflict, rejection, or loss. It tries to keep relationships stable, even when the cost is your own emotional exhaustion. The internal conflict between self and duty. There is also an inner tension between two parts of you. One that wants rest, autonomy, and emotional space. Another that fears hurting someone or being misunderstood. Guilt rises in the gap between these two parts. It is the emotional signal that you cannot keep living for others without losing something essential of yourself. Sometimes guilt comes with a fear of being seen as selfish. Sometimes it comes with a belief that others' needs matter more. And sometimes it comes simply because no one ever taught you that your no is as valid as your yes. Allowing yourself to pause before reacting. When guilt appears, instead of fighting it, try to listen to it gently. What are you afraid will happen if I say no? Which old story are you protecting me from? Is this guilt from today or from a much earlier time? This kind of internal questioning creates space. And in that space, you might notice that nothing catastrophic happens when you choose yourself. Little by little, guilt turns into awareness. Awareness turns into choice. And choice becomes freedom.